If you were aiming to rank certain positions within the NFL, you would look at the field and see which ones really stand out, not just in stats, but in their ability to make big plays when they're on the field. For wide receivers in the NFL, there's little doubt that you would go and put Odell Beckham Jr. in the top 5, or even 3 of the best wide receivers in the game right now. Players and fans know it, and that's why he's been getting big contracts from various teams. But what does he do with that money? Allow us to show you 8 incredibly expensive things that Odell Beckham Jr. owns. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Tom Manning going deep for Beckham Jr. Did he catch it? He did!
Number 8, his contract. Odell Beckham Jr. is considered one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL, and he's known for making insane catches that puts other people to shame. In many ways, his career started out during. Since then, Odell Beckham Jr. has made many touchdown catches and many more insane passes. So when the time came to sign him again, the New York Giants capitalized and gave him a contract worth $9. So in that sense, the contract is his way of keeping himself accountable, which he does have trouble doing at times, but most people look over that because he can be such a dominant wide receiver. Number 7, friend trips. Odell loves to hang out with friends and such, which on the whole isn't that bad of a thing, except when it comes at the worst possible times. Like instead of getting ready for a big playoff game that can help define his career, he hung out with friends. You see a problem with that? This happened a few years back when Odell Beckham Jr. was with the New York Giants. They had just gotten to the playoffs for the first time in a few years, and to celebrate, Odell Beckham Jr. went out on a boat with some friends and took a very gangsta picture that swirled all over the internet and raised a lot of questions about his commitments to the team. Not surprisingly, Odell Beckham Jr. applies to this season because while the Browns did make the playoffs, they did it without him because he was injured pretty much all season. His attitude and off-the-field issues is why the Giants traded him to the Browns not long after signing him to that new deal. This is why it's said how you spend your money often defines you as a person. Number 6, shoes. There are a lot of people out there who spend lots of money on shoes. Odell Beckham Jr. is a bit of a different story. He has always been a fan of Chuck Taylors, and by his own admission, he's worn them all his life.
How does it feel to have a pair of $20,000 Chuck Taylors?
So when he had the chance to buy the most expensive pair of Chuck Taylor shoes ever, yep, he did. Oh, and to get those pair of shoes, it cost him $20,000. That is a lot of money on a pair of shoes that he honestly may never really wear. And as some have noted, you can get a regular pair of these kinds of shoes for less than $100. So to go and get a pair that's 200 times more expensive than that, yeah, you must really want them. Oh, and this very special pair of Chuck Taylor shoes has both gold and concrete on them. Why? Well, we don't know, but apparently Odell liked it. Number 5, shoes part 2. Now, as we established, Odell Beckham Jr. can be a bit of a jerk on the field and even sometimes off of it, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't know when to do the right thing when the moment arrives. This one time while he was in Cleveland, he found out that the school's football team was coming back after being dissolved in 2010. This did happen in 2019, which meant the school, known as Cheney High School, had gone without a football program for a decade. Anyway, Odell Beckham Jr. got involved in this, and after celebrating their return, he bought the entire team that would be playing football Nike Air Max 720s. That is a very expensive brand, and it cost about $20,000 to do as well, mainly because he had to buy 100 pairs of them, which is a lot, but you can't deny it was for a good cause, and this just proves that OBJ isn't immature all the time, just most of it.
Great catch. Just watch this, Kevin. Look at the jumping ability. The concentration, right?
Number 4, jewelry collection. The art of the bling is something that many celebrities and athletes have tried to master. They go and get the biggest and brightest and most custom pieces of jewelry ever to try and make things work in their favor and shine brighter than everyone else. And yeah, this applies to Odell Beckham Jr. in some big ways. For example, when he made his debut with the Cleveland Browns, he played an entire game with a watch on his wrist, and this watch was worth over $350,000. Yeah, he was playing a football game with over $250,000 attached to his wrist. Think he stopped there? The very next game he went and wore a watch that was apparently worth $2.2 million. Can you imagine playing a game with that much money on your wrist? Now, to be fair, other players have done similar stunts like this, but you can bet that OBJ ranks high in how much value he plays with in terms of his bling. Number 3, teeth jewelry. For the record, this crazy purchase only cost him $5,000, but it's the intent that's really crazy though. Mainly in 2019, Odell Beckham Jr. had the idea that instead of just getting himself more wristwatches and necklaces and such, that he would go and get diamond crosses surgically implanted on his teeth. If that sounds easy, it's not. His dentist and his jeweler had to work together to figure out how to make this without hurting OBJ, which obviously would have been bad. They had to do sculpting, 3D printing, and more to make it work. And now he has diamond crosses on 2 of his teeth, which is crazy enough, but the catch here is that he can never take them off, which means that the only way he can get rid of them is by having his teeth removed. This is why people hate the rich at times, because they do stuff like this with their money.
Manning rolling right. And now he's
Number 2 is mansions. When you're worth well over $100 million thanks to your contract and endorsement deals and all that, you have to spend money on a nice house or a set of houses if you can swing it. When he was with the Giants, Odell bought a mansion outside the Hudson that was very unique. It was 3 levels and had 3,500 square feet, which is very atypical kind of mansion if you think about how that is all comprised. But he loved the house, and even his mother noted just how much she loved it. We don't have the price, but this is New York, so we're talking many millions for this one. And you know that he has another home that he now resides in Cleveland for the NFL season. Should he move to another team, he will likely go and get yet another house just as grand as these two. Number 1, cars. Many in the NFL love to flash their cars around, and Odell Beckham Jr. has a menagerie of cars that are both awesome and expensive, such as his Rolls-Royce Raffi, which by itself would have been about $300,000, but then the guys at DreamWorks Motorsports went and pimped that right out, making it more like $500,000 in worth. Then Odell Beckham Jr. teamed up with them again to customize a Mercedes-Benz CLG AMG for him, and he hired them to do the same kind of custom work on a Ford F-250 so that they could match. Because, sure, why not? On the base level, the vehicles would have been about $135,000 combined. But with all the custom work, yeah, it's a lot more than that. He's also given not 1, but 2 different vehicles to his mother and his sister, and then bought himself a Cleveland Browns themed Rolls Royce that cost him $500,000. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Odell Beckham Jr. and how he spends his money? Were you surprised by some of the things that he owns? Did you think that he could be a little more lambastic in how he spends the millions that he possesses? Do you think that he's going to do his best to shine next year after he comes back from injury? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we will see you next time on the channel.